Hello, how are you, class? Um, I am in class on a Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon, and we are talking about human behavior in the social environment. It's a required course for social work students in our program, and we've been talking about the developmental stages, and today we're going to talk about late adulthood. Next week, we're going to talk about late adulthood. But for today, that's what we're going to talk about. My name is Dr. Alicia. Welcome, Felicia. Felicia is 56 years old. Thank you for joining us. Everybody, if you feel comfortable, put your name in the chat and let us know how you guys are doing. And to you students, you can tell us, are you guys old? Do you feel old? At what age are we old? And how are we supposed to know if we're old? Felicia is 56. Is that old? Let's see. Let's see who else is here. Journey. Well, maybe not Journey. Let's see. Journey. Do you feel old or feel like you're getting old?
No, I don't feel old, and I wouldn't say 56 is old either.
Okay, 56 is not old. Hello, Richard. Okay, Julie is 59. Is that old? Julie, do you feel old? Felicia, do you feel old? Richard from Houston, welcome. How old are you? Would you like to put your age in there? Do you feel old? Okay, Annette is 62. And what does she say? She doesn't think she's old. Okay. Let's see. Amari, do you feel old?
No.
You don't feel old? No. Okay.
No, I don't feel old.
Why not? Why don't
Why don't I feel old?
Yeah, why don't you feel old? And you
Maybe because physicality of things, still being able to be
Okay. Okay, so I think you said because you just physically don't feel old. What about
being able to feel
okay, what about 10 years ago? Do you feel different 10 years ago than you do now? Amari, do you feel older?
Yeah.
You do? You can tell the difference?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. What about 10
Yeah,
years from now? So whatever your age is now, 10 years from now, do you think that's old?
No.
Okay. All right. So Richard,
It's like feel different. You said like ask me, do I feel different between the two ages? From 10 years ago to now, which was 16 for me. But so yeah, it does feel different. So I'm pretty sure then it will feel different, but I can't say that it will feel older to me just yet.
Okay. All right. How about you, Emily? Do you feel old? Am I frozen? Let me see. Am I frozen? Okay, Annette says age is.
Can you hear me?
Okay, yeah, we can hear you now.
Oh, I said I'm 43, and I don't feel old, but I feel older than I did 10 years ago, slightly. It's more of a maturity thing rather than a physical thing. Like to realize where I am in life with, especially some of my friends that we've been friends since we were 14 and stuff, that we discussed 401ks and reading glasses and things like that instead of who we're taking to prom. And
Okay.
are we going to have babies and stuff like that?
Okay, so the types of conversations you're having with people is putting you're in a whole nother era. So you may not feel old, but you're saying things are changing. I'm not talking about prom, I'm not talking about who I'm going to date and marry. All that's done and things are different. Okay, so people in the chat are saying it's a mindset. I like Annette. Annette's like, it's a mindset. And shalom, Thaddeus. He's 58. And I don't know, Thaddeus, do you feel old? Rosemary's 69. She said she don't feel old. She don't care what you say. She don't feel old. And then Annette said, I'm aging, but seriously, I do not think I'm as old as my age. So I guess what Annette is saying is that age is a feeling. You have to stay active. My kids keep me young and you must work out. Woo, that's real smart, Richard. Okay. So, but has any of you all, the thing is that when you get a certain age, AARP is going to be reaching out to you. You know, AARP is going to say you need to join us. Sometimes when you get older or hit a certain limit of age, Social Security is going to reach out to you. You have retirement benefits. So there's some things where it's kind of beneficial to say that you are older. So Annette said AARP reached out to you, but that don't mean it's going to mean that you're old. You're just eligible for all of these perks. So sometimes you can get the discount. Ain't nobody turning down. I wouldn't turn down a discount when I'm at the age to turn a discount down just because of my age. I remember I was growing up and my dad would take me to the movies in the summer. And I think if you were 13 years old, you had to pay the adult price. And I remember being 13, going to the movies with my dad, and he would be like, say you're 12. He would teach me to say I'm a certain age, although I was very proud of being 13 years old. It was a big deal. And he would say, she's 12, you know, and so sometimes age can depend on, you know, if you get into certain things and if there's some discounts, there's some discounts. So there's some benefits to getting older and to feeling that you're in a different category of feeling old. Hey, you feel old, boys? Do you feel old? Sometimes you do. Why? What makes you feel old? His stomach. So Boyce's stomach, my husband Boyce, he said his stomach sometimes make him feel old. Getting a pot belly. Sometimes that your physical activity and everything, you know, when I was younger, I used to be able to eat Dorito. I used to eat Doritos with Cheese Whiz on it. And I would eat that all the time and I never gained a pound. Now, if I look at Cheese Whiz and Doritos, I gain weight, it seems like. So yeah, I mean, I guess in that sense, I do kind of feel old. So anyway. So there's some questions to kind of think about. How do you all feel about getting older? What might you experience as you get older? And when you're evaluating your life, what in that sense does it mean to be successful? So, Emily, how do you feel about getting older? So while Emily is coming back to us, Tony Love is saying society. Oh, that's so great. She's saying society. Hold on, let's put her comment up. Society keeps us stressed out about aging. Live, pray, respect, and love, and life is good. That's profound. Hello, Dr. Vibe. Welcome to my class. Okay, Emily. How do you feel about getting older? How does your dog feel about getting? It's okay. How do you feel about getting older? Your dog can weigh in on it too.
My dog wants the cat food. I am not excited about the physical side of getting older. Like I thought I'd be much better about aging till I started doing it. you're like, yeah, I'll go gray, I'll get wrinkles, it'll be fine. It's a sign of my life. And then you're like, but I can't go back. And it's weird. But I'm looking forward to the stuff I can do as like a parent of grown children and with my friends, and like we know what to do and what is fun, and there's so much less drama with friends and social life that I'm excited for that part, and that part's fun. We
Yeah.
always talk about what retirement home we're gonna go in so we can all hang out and do our morning walks and play pickleball and all that. It's like a new chance to start fresh, I guess.
Yeah, because at that age, when you're older, and just think about being retired, you don't have to get up and go work in the morning. You can just be like a teenager all over again, do what you want to do. And then you got more money, theoretically. You have more money than you had when you were a teenager, and you could do more stuff. So that's interesting. Getting older can be exciting. Huh. How about you, Journey? How do you feel about getting older?
I'm stressed. I'm turning 25 next month, and I'm like stressed.
Wait, hold on. How old are you turning next month?
25, and I feel very stressed.
25.
Yeah, because then that means I'm almost gonna be 30, and then life gets real at 25. So I'm like real nervous.
Who told you that? What do you think you're going to experience? What are you going to experience once you're 30? What do you think is going to be different?
Too much. By that point, I'll be moved out of my parents. I'll be paying even more bills, and I'll be working a real adult job. So I mean, I work an adult job now, but like I'll be really in my career at that point. So sad to say bye this time of my life, I guess.
So you're wanting that independence, and I know we talked about that before, but there's such benefit to living at home. So you just want to face life. When you get older and experienced, you think it's being independent, paying your own bills. That's something that you're looking forward to, making your own decisions.
Okay. I'm also looking forward to like having my own dog. Like we still have a family dog, so I'm like that's one experience that I'm really looking forward to, is to be like my own pet parent.
Okay, you want to pick out the pet, you want a puppy and you want to raise it. You got this nurturing thing. That's a sign of adulthood. Okay. So that's how you feel about getting Mary, how about you? How do you feel about getting older, and what do you think you might experience?
I feel like getting older can be stressful because you don't know what to expect, but I do value what Emily said. Like it could be like a new transition, a new story for you. So just trying to be positive about it. You start thinking about the conditions that your family may have, and you start worrying that you might get that. So you're trying to do everything that you can to like make sure you're healthy. So my grandfather died from dementia and Alzheimer's. So it's kind of like I would literally pray to God that I do not get that. But like just being prepared for that and trying to start earlier on things, preventatives that my granddad probably didn't even know about. So just being like positive and stuff like that. So I don't want to be afraid of it. So I don't really want to speak negative about it, but it's just something that I have to learn to embrace. Because like Journey said, like I'm almost close to 30, and then you see people having kids, and I don't have any biological kids myself. But it's just like, man, okay, if I want to have kids, I need to start thinking about it now because I want to be super old and stuff like that. So you just play these thoughts in your head. So I think society and things like that really play a part in how we feel about getting old and the experience in it as well.
Okay. All right. That's smart. The very smart response there. I like what the three of you all are saying. So then what then does it mean to be successful? What does it mean to be successful? I'm putting Richard's comment up here. Any one of you all can go, but what does it mean then to be successful? So Richard Knox is saying, I feel like I'm finally getting it all together as he gets older, but I also know my time is limited. Time is limited. That's always in my mind. I've been investing everything I can to set my family up for when I transition. Ooh, so Richard is coming. He knows, almost like Mary said, it's gonna happen. You can't stop it. You can't stop the earth from spinning around and going around the sun. So you can't, it's nothing you can stop doing. And so you just have to embrace it, like Mary said. Okay, very good. Thank you, Richard. So what does it then mean to be successful? What do you all think? In terms of, in your mind, this is what it means to be successful. When you're evaluating your life, what would that mean to you guys?
I feel like success is hard to measure, but for me, if I had to measure my success, it would be to focus on my health more. Kind of like Richard was saying, like you want to set your family up for when you do transition. So that kind of like me and husband's mentality now. So like we don't know what is going to happen, but having peace, I guess having financial freedom is success to me. I would say that's what success is. Being able to see like your loved ones happy is success to me. So helping them in whatever way I can, if it's financially, support, any type of support really, but that's really success to me.
Okay, so success for you is having health and having financial freedom. Yes, Richard agrees. I agree too. Financial freedom, that means success. Okay, Emily and Journey, either one of you all, do you all want to add to that? Money to me is, I mean, there's a curvilinear relationship between money and happiness. You know, I mean, you get to you make a certain amount and then you can make more money, but it doesn't mean that you're going to be more happy. It levels off. But for you guys, Journey and Emily, you want to add anything to what it means? What evaluating your life? What does it mean to be successful?
I think that I would have healthy, happy kids that are able to be independent and doing all right, that they've gotten the life that they want, and that I'm surrounded by good friends, and that I'm in a healthy relationship and happy myself. And I think that would be what is successful to me. Dang, we went to social work. I never went into this thinking I was going to be wealthy. So yeah,
that's a good point.
Part of what I don't know. I married an art major. We were social services and art. We were going to be poor from the get-go,
but happy and healthy relationships. Yeah. So money is not everything. I know a lot of people with a lot of money who's not happy. So it is not everything. I love this because we were talking about this yesterday and last night in class, and I was like, man, me being an entrepreneur, am I really being true to the social work profession? Like, I'm getting a little bit into the capitalist game, but I'm really socialist inside. So I'm always looking at other ways of really looking at success that's not necessarily tied to how much money is in my bank account. Although let's just not deny that it makes a difference. So that's interesting, Emily. You're looking at children. And so you're right. Every year the kids ask me, what do you want for Mother's Day? And I'm like, I want 3 happy, sound children doing really wonderful things. I don't want anything from my kids. I don't want them paying for me. I don't want them buying me anything. I really don't want anything from them. Just their success to me is the best gift. And I measure success differently. Just as long as they're doing what they need to do and live their life, that's the best gift any of my kids can give me. So Emily, I agree with that. Journey, what does successful mean? Success means to you?
I would say success means to me, like, at the end of the day, just like how happy you are. Like if you're like satisfied with your life, like that's success. Is like at the end of the day, like are you stressing out about what's to come tomorrow, or are you like fine with what's to come tomorrow?
Okay. Not having stress, living stress free. Okay. Very good. Let's see what's next here. Okay. At what age are we really old? Well, it changes because today we're going to talk about late adulthood, which is kind of 65 to 74. And then there's this middle old adulthood, which is 75 to 84. And then next week, we're going to talk about very late adulthood, which is the oldest of the old, 85 plus. And we're seeing a whole lot more centenarians, people who are 100 years old and more and older. We're starting to see that grow in our world, 100 years old. And they're living pretty good, actually, living pretty healthy. So I watched this documentary on Netflix called The Blue Zones. And the guy, he went out and said there's certain pockets of America called the Blue Zones where it has a lot of centenarians. I can't say that word, centenarians. They have a whole people who are living to be 195 and 100 and above. And he went to those areas and explored what was it that made them so vibrant at that age. And they all kind of grouped together. Anyway, so that's the oldest of the old. And I think a lot of you all kind of alluded to the fact that social age, social age means something. It's like society has these roles and expectations that you need to fulfill at a certain age. And, I think society does a lot in terms of looking at what it means to be older. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that. But let's get into the demographics because we're in uncharted territory, you guys. Uncharted territory because the U.S. Census is saying that 85 and older population is the fastest growing segment in the aging population. It is what's happening is that there's a significant demographic shift happening right now. And I don't know if you all know, but I have a contract with the hospice company and I'm working with older adults. And that is like the most job secure place. Centenarian. Thank you, Vanessa. I can't have a hard time saying that. Centenarians. And 85 and over. In 2015, so that was almost 10 years ago, there were 6.3 million people in the United States that are 85 and over. By 2040, it's going to be 14.6. By 2060, it's going to be 20 million people over the age of 85. And we really think that, especially from that documentary I mentioned, the reason why there's so many people who are 85 and over is because there's an decrease in mortality of children and young adults, and there's a decrease in mortality among the aging, and there's all this health technology. So we now know better ways to keep everybody living more healthy, and I really think that we need to think of ways in which we can accommodate the growing needs of this group. I mean, especially in terms of healthcare, socially, what are we going to do? We're going to have all these, the retirement age increases every couple of years. And, but eventually the older adults are going to have something to do. They're going to have something to do with their time, especially the ones with all the vicissitudes and things to do financially. You're talking about being Mary brilliantly talked about financial security. Well, if you retire, that's going to be the longer you live post-retirement. A lot of it depends on decisions you made early on. So retirement money and all of this stuff can run out. So you really do need to think about finances. I'm fortunate enough where I have just been able to as much as I can, max out my 401k, make sure that I have all of my retirement investments in place first, and then I pay myself. I put a lot of my money in investments. I do not play around with investments. I leave it and I forget it, because looking at my statements and trying to figure all that stuff out, that's boring to me. Not boring, but it's interesting, because I'd like to know how much money I make, but I don't want to spend my time there. I want to enjoy my life in different ways. So, but I think this is really interesting, because 200 years ago, life expectancy was 30 years old, 40 years old. So just from 200 years ago, even 100 to 200 years ago, I mean, life expectancy has doubled. So we're living longer because of all of these reasons. So we really need to know that. And I know in terms of the social work profession, if anybody's interested in doing an internship and they want to work with older adults, you can basically go to school almost for free, because there's just a lot of money encouraging social workers to get into working with older adults. So that's just money for school. So there's a lot of programs popping up, because they see what we're seeing today, that people are just getting older. And so as social workers, we need to pay attention to this, because this is like, this chances are your clients are going to be in this group. Okay. We're talking about race, gender, ethnicity, social class. How does that relate? Believe it or not, in terms of race, in 2015, only 9% of the population over the age of 65 was African American. 9%. So 8% was Latino, Hispanic, 4% was Asian, Pacific Islander, believe it or not, and less than 1% was indigenous population. So what does this tell us? This tells us that the 85-year-old and older are generally white. And it's not very heterogeneous in terms of race. 9% of the population over 65 was African American, only 9, right? So they're getting older and whiter. We'll say that. From 2015 to 2030, they estimate that the white population over 65 is expected to increase by 43%. But the ethnic population in general is going to grow a lot, 99%. So this tells us that among all of these groups of color, African American, Latino, Hispanic, even Asian, believe it or not, and indigenous individuals, there's barriers. We know there's barriers to health and wealth, and all of this accumulates and exacerbates in disparities in late life outcomes. Disparities. Women also outnumber men. Women are outnumbering men. 190 females per 100 males for 85 and older. And it's crazy, because my mom, she's a African-American lady, and she's in her 80s, and someone put her in a dating app. Someone put her in this dating app. A friend of hers added her to a dating app for seniors, and her inbox was full of white men. And she was like, I don't know if I could date a white man. I don't know. That'd be kind of weird. I mean, think about it. She's 80 something years old, and she grew up in, Jim Crow, civil rights. So in her mind, she's like, I don't know if I could date a white man. I don't know. But she's like, you know what? I guess I got to warm up to it, because a lot of the Black men her age are dead. She's like, there ain't nobody else left. So a lot of these men, they're reaching out to her. And I think this is really interesting. She's just outnumbered, right? So she talks about that a lot. Older women are more likely to live alone, 35% compared to 20% of men who live alone. Interesting. What else? So women just live longer. When it comes to social class, we do know that 18% of older African Americans, 17% of Latino Hispanic, and 11% of older Asian Americans live in poverty, compared to only 6.6% of older whites. And when I go to nursing homes, mostly what I see is just white women who have, a lot of them have inheritance from their husband who didn't live quite as long, and they're living in these nice elaborate nursing homes and memory care facilities and, you know, all of these facilities. And they are, you know, that stuff is expensive. It's like $12,000 a month, $12,000 a month just to live in these facilities. So it's expensive. And if you don't have a lot of money, you don't have enough money to pay for good care when you're older. And so this makes this disparity here in terms of income and living in poverty makes a big difference, because I go to public, there's some nursing homes that are public aid. They accept a lot of public aid individuals, and it's not as nice. It's not as good. I hate to say it. Yeah, Miss Parker, $12,000 a month for the nice ones, for the really nice one. And I live in Illinois, so that's where it is here. So yes, it's expensive. Like, I'm putting money away into my health savings account because I'm like, I need somebody to come into my home, and you're going to have people come into your home and give you a sponge bath every once in a while, because you'll be, you know, older and you won't be able to take care of yourself as much. So it's something to really think about in terms of income. What do you think about this? Geographically, people are living in one of the 10 states. 51% of the elderly population live in California, Florida, New York, Texas, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Illinois, right here in Illinois, Michigan, New Jersey, and North Carolina. I get North Carolina, Florida, California, Texas. I kind of understand that because the weather is nicer and I think the taxes are more friendly. But I don't understand. Can anybody explain why Ohio, Illinois, Michigan, and New Jersey? New Jersey? What is that? I don't know. What do y'all think? Why? Do y'all want to move to Florida is Florida the best place to live? What do y'all think? Journey, Emily, or Mary, what do y'all think? Where do y'all want to live when y'all retire?
Not Florida.
Not Florida?
No, they just, they let murderers off a little bit too freely in Florida. So I think I'm okay with not moving there. Definitely
Okay.
don't want to be in the same state as what's her name, like Casey Anthony or whatever. I probably would want to move somewhere more like secluded, away from like most of society. Maybe like Alaska or something.
That is so freaking cold. Have you been to Alaska, Journey? It is so cold there.
No, but I feel like it would be fun with all the animals.
Okay, Journey. Alaska. Okay, interesting. Okay, you be kind of by yourself because not a lot of people live in Alaska. Okay, Emily and Mary, Emily, what do you think? Where you want to live?
I probably would live around here or a little further south, but I'm wondering how many of these other states are by large military bases. That's where people retired and stayed, especially with like Texas and Ohio and whatnot. Like, my grandparents are old and they're in Ohio, and they have had great health care.
Is that
and
what
I think part of that has to be part of why they're living longer, is that they had decent health care their whole lives. Are these states traditionally blue or traditionally red? Like, I don't like as far as like systematic benefits in health would be.
There has to be something more logical. I don't know why people. I used to live in Florida. Hey, it's just way too hot for me. I can't deal with that heat. And I lived in the panhandle of Florida. I couldn't imagine being South Florida. I don't know. I think maybe, ideally, I would love the summer in Illinois and winter in the South. Like, I want to turn the seasons into a verb. I I'm gonna winter. This is my retirement life. I'm gonna winter in Florida, and then I'm a summer in Illinois. I'm gonna do. That's gonna be. I don't know. That's my retirement life in my head. I'm just gonna travel around and do things. I don't know. Mary, what do you think? Where you want to live?
Maybe Arizona or Hawaii.
Yeah, I'm surprised Arizona didn't come up on the list. I mean, it's from 2015, so maybe Arizona made it on there. Okay.
And how many of these stats are changing because of COVID? Because I know that the average lifespan of certain races went down after 1 year of COVID, and like the average age of an American went down.
It did. The average age decreased, and it hasn't gone back up. And what's interesting is that for a lot of countries, other countries other than the United States, they did go back up. But for United States, they stayed lower. I don't know. I saw that recently, that they're trying to figure out, like, why didn't it go back like everybody, like it did for everyone else, every other country. But here in the United States, it really, COVID had an impact that was unique to other countries for sure. Okay, there's six traits to growing old with grace. And let me tell you, I have these conversations with my husband all the time. I don't know if you all know, but he gets online and he likes to rant. And I love it. I love what he has to say. He has some meaning. He's really beautiful. But sometimes I have to tease him because he reminds me of, like, sometimes like old men who get mad and they shake their fist in the air and they're like, the world is changing and it needs to get back to how it used to be. They want the changes that are happening is just, they get mad at it. And my approach to progressiveness and to change, I embrace it all. So I love to embrace change, new ideas, I'm a progressive social worker to the soul. Okay. I am conservative beliefs don't necessarily gel with me because I'm a social worker and this is what we believe in. So, I mean, I kind of look at the world as beautiful and wonderful and, oh, things are changing, things are different. And I kind of go with it. And I mentioned to him, I said, you make yourself look old when you be hating everything, you be shaking your fist in the air like those old men that get mad at everything. And then I saw this slide about the 6 traits for growing old with grace. And I think a lot of it talks about the fact that, I don't know, I think more things always change. And growing old with grace is, there's a set of beliefs and ideas that research is saying it enhances your quality of life and your overall well-being. So when you get older, if you adhere to these 6 traits, you are more likely to have better mental health and better physical health as well. So these traits are so important. So growing old with grace, yes, there's a passage of time, but it's how you view it and how you see it. So the first one is about caring about others, remaining open to new ideas. And I know I'm always trying to embrace technology as much as I can, although it took me forever to figure out how to. It's a big deal for me to get on StreamYard and to post my slides and to figure it out. Y'all as a class were very patient with me, but part of it is like, okay, I'm learning something new. I need to try to get more comfortable with trying to figure out social media. And I don't know if Dr. Vibe is still in the chat, but Dr. Vibe, he'd be feeling sorry for me and be offering his services to me so that I can get the technology down. And Dr. Tashi, I don't know if she's still here, but hey girl, how you doing? She's also a professor too at a university. So, but anyway, all of these things is how open you are about things, how open you are and embracing the change. Yes, Miss Parker. So you also have to show cheerful tolerance to the indignities of old age. And I think it's like your body is changing. It's this willingness to adjust to your body as it change in new situations. Definitely having a sense of humor, playing around, just you look at life differently. And that deals with growing old with grace, taking sustenance from past accomplishments while remaining curious and willing to learn. So there's a commitment to lifelong learning from the next generation. So you don't look at younger people as, they don't know what they're doing. No, you look at younger people who are younger than you and you're like, wow, teach me something on what I need to learn. And I think just engaging with new people, engaging in new hobbies. I know my aunt, when she got older and she retired, she started making jewelry. She used to make, actually, I don't know if she made this necklace, but she sat down. She'd never made jewelry before, but she retired. She bought all this jewelry, this stuff to make jewelry. She was making her own jewelry. She was going to craft shows. And she was a school teacher. She taught literacy to children. But when she retired and was done with that, she took on new tasks. She took a class on making jewelry and art and creative writing. A whole new life opened up for her after she retired because she took on new things. And just because she retired from the school system, which gave her a good pension, she got a really good deal. She was able to now take her money and do things she always wanted to do. And that was like to share her creativity. So my aunt, may she rest in peace now, I still have some of her jewelry that she made. And we were going to go into business with each other and be hitting the craft market. I was going to have her make the jewelry. And then I was going to sit at the table and sell her jewelry. We had like a system going on there for a minute. But her jewelry was beautiful. She could make custom pieces. But that's what's wonderful to keep the brain active in retirement. And of course, we talked about COVID. So Emily brought up a really good point, because COVID really took a toll on people. Maintaining contact and intimacy with old friends. This was impossible to do for a lot of older people. It was a lot of loneliness, a lot of isolation. And we now know from the studies that are coming out that older adults it really took a toll on older adults being away from people and being afraid, and rightfully so. I mean, older individuals, they didn't have the ability to bounce back from COVID like everyone else did. So it really took a toll on them. So it's so important to maintain relationships and with family and friends and in the communities and keep the social connections going. Okay, let's get into some theories, or like when I was in Guyana, theories. We used to call it theories. The theories. These theories, let's go through them. Let's see the time. It's almost 2:00. Okay, let's try to get through these because we got to take a break and we got more stuff to cover in class. So disengagement theory, there's disengagement is like a double-edged sword. In a way, Journey talked about this. She's like, you know what? When I get older, I'm going to move to Alaska and isolate myself. Her and her dog. She moves to Alaska. You better get one of those Siberian husky dogs, like one of those sled dogs. I don't know. She got to get that in Alaska. And that's how she can get around the places. Because I hear Alaska, it's kind of frightening to drive on the ice. But anyway, it's gradually, sometimes when you get older, you can gradually disengage from all of the social roles and relationships and turn inward. So it's a good thing because disengaging helps with the introspection process. And we know Erikson talks about at this age is so important to be very introspective so that you can think about your life and make meaning of it. We'll talk about that in a bit. But this disengagement theory is so important because sometimes you need to disengage from society. I know when my mom retired, she used to volunteer at the church. She used to volunteer at the crisis hotline. She used to do all this stuff because she was a therapist and a counselor. she was a counselor at a school, and she was a therapist, and she did the crisis hotline. She did all this stuff. But when she retired from a lot of it. She disengaged from a lot of things to just kind of make her life more simple. She was like, whew, for a long time when I was working, I've been working my whole life. I remember my mom saying that. I've been beholden, and I had all these responsibilities. And when it came time for her to retire, she was able to let go of a lot of stuff. So she disengaged from a lot. And it made her sit back and think about her life in a lot of ways. Activity theory is just about the opposite of disengagement, actually. It's about still remaining active and contributing to security. Who's taking, any of y'all, are you guys 600 level students? I know I talked to Dr. Terrell, Billy Terrell. She's my mentor, and I talk to her once a month. So we met on Wednesday. And since she's retired, she has been really active. And I said, you haven't really retired. Like, she's retired, but we have her this semester teaching a class. She's retired for years now. She's still teaching classes when possible. She still does things here and there. She's a very active senior. So, and I think it's great because she's been able to contribute to society. She's helping out students. She's helping us out as a department, and we really appreciate that. And, you know, it's just nice because she's got all this knowledge that she still can pass on to everybody. Continuity theory. It's where older adults just continue to do a lot of their interactions. They're able to make adjustments and to be also stable in making adjustments. So the idea with continuity theory is to reduce stress. You know, so I'm going to keep some of these interactions going, but it's not going to be stressful. And, you know, to kind of keep things going, you want to keep your mind active, and you want to be resilient and embrace aging. So that's continuity theory. Let's move on quickly. Social construction theory. Lord, we know about this. I had never heard of this word before. Gerotranscendence. Look at that. Social construction theory. Well, gerotranscendence holds that human development exists into old age and doesn't simply end. So you can teach an old dog new tricks. That's what gerotranscendence tells me. You can teach an old dog new tricks. You can learn something new. It is possible. But the problem is that society tells older adults in the narratives and what you see in the media, society tells older adults how and what to act. That the grandma gets old and she sits in the corner and doesn't do anything. So a lot of aging is socially constructed. You know, we have these things. Yes, DJ Black. Let me put his comment up there. Like fine wine, we get better with time. And look at DJ. He looked like he about 22 years old. He probably 52. How old are you, DJ? Anyway, he's right. Fine wine, we get older with time. And I wonder how much of this is racial. You know, if it's cultural. You know, I know that I love watching movies with like anime movies and movies that come out of Asian countries. Their movies depict older adults so much more healthy than more westernized United States movies here, and Hollywood movies. They look at older adults totally different. And I see that a lot in movies, and I'm always paying attention because that's what we do as social workers. So anyway, feminist theory. I love feminist theory. Yes, everybody, I am a feminist. Gender, it absolutely plays an important factor in aging. I'm opening this up for a discussion just for a little bit. Wait, how do I get this out? I want to talk about feminist theory. Journey, Emily, and Ameri. What does society tell us about the experience of women as they get older versus the experience and the view of men as they get older? What have you guys noticed? in the chat. What have you guys noticed? How has society viewed women when they get older versus how society views men when they get older? Okay, Emily, go.
Women get frumpy and fat and old, and men get distinguished and handsome and more powerful, probably wealthy.
Wealthy, yes, yes, they do. Because right now, as the feminist that I am, what is it about money and gender? Journey and Mary, let's talk about that. What is it about money and gender? Socially stratified factors of power, privilege, status, inequalities, and disparities. What do we know? Journey.
I think socially we like still adapt the kind of like toxic gender roles that like the man should be the head of the household and that he should be the one making most of the money. And that the female should be the one staying at home, having the children and taking care of the children. I feel like we're still at that stage. Sometimes you see couples and relationships that are moving past that stage, but we're very much still stuck at that.
Think about a lifetime of taking care of people. Women, we're socialized. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but that's what we're socialized into, is to be caregivers, be responsible for caring for our old. We know that if parents are ill, it's usually the oldest female is the one that's going to be taking care of the parents. It's going to be the woman in the family that's going to be taking care, and that removes you from certain parts of being able to earn a wage. It removes you from, it takes you out of the job market, so to speak, just so that you can contribute in this sort of way, norms and expectations. So what happens is that you're not going to have as much money in your retirement account that you do that your husband would have. So just the inequalities in terms of money and status and privilege is very prevalent at this age. And older men are more distinguished. They're seen as more distinguished when they get the gray hair, and you see all the nice looking older men, kind of strutting their stuff. And, those individuals, what kind of women do they like? Mary, older, distinguished looking men, what kind of women do they like?
Based on society, media,
Yes.
all that stuff.
Yes.
They like younger girls.
Yep. Be dating.
It's so crazy that you bring that up, because like you see now, I see now, like younger girls are more attracted to older men, and I think it could be because of finances. So it's like that stigma of sugar daddy. So I'm like that. But I do know younger girls are men because of that stability that they assume that they have.
They want them a sugar daddy to help finance what they're doing. So younger men and older women, they get together, and it's like they got them a sugar daddy, and older men like hanging out with younger women because it makes them feel not as old. They don't have to come to terms with their own age. And so there we go. Yes. Very good.
I have a friend who's newly single at 37, and she actually doesn't want to date anyone younger than 35 because she's like, I've got kids. I don't need any more. Like, I think there's a maturity level that she's unwilling to date younger men because of that.
Well, that's a good point, but we got a lot of cougars out there too. And that's something that they call the women cougars. That's kind of like, that's really kind of degrading. We got the cougars here. So anyway, we'll move on. I can talk about that longer, but I won't. I got more thoughts about that one. But social exchange theory, I think this is really helpful. I never really thought social exchange theory would be appropriate for this population, but it does, because I think, older adults, they do have value, and they don't want to feel like a burden on everybody. So it's good for them to be able to contribute. and to have interdependence, and they want to have an environment. Sometimes the environment is too, sometimes it can be too fast for them, but they want to foster where they can engage in the environment. Sometimes I've heard a lot of older adults say that when you get a certain age, there's not a lot happening to you. So you're kind of put off into the little corner because you're not the center of attention anymore when you get older. So you kind of feel useless a lot of time. So, social exchange theory. Yes. There's something that older adults can contribute in terms of wisdom and knowledge. And then, of course, the younger generation can contribute to the older generation in terms of helping with technology. Okay, life course perspective. Aging is not static, right? It's a dynamic system. And so just because you're older doesn't mean that you're stuck. You're stuck into this isolated phase in life. And so life just keeps unfolding. It's a life course perspective. It doesn't stop at all. And the effects, this is where the effects and the decisions, like Mary talked about in terms of financial, and she's talking about making sure she's eating healthy, she's doing healthy behaviors, because she knows that that's going to make not only her life longer, but it will give her a quality of life. So believe it or not, the decisions that you make today is going to pay off later on in life. So when you get into this older adult stage, the effects of earlier life decisions and opportunities and challenges significantly impact you. And that's the life course perspective. Okay, age stratification. Society is just inherently stratified by age, right? And so this can determine like the cohort, right? What it means to be in a particular cohort. Every cohort has a unique set of circumstances. So the baby boomers, these were people who were born right at the end or in the middle and at the end of World War II. And this was a time of economic prosperity. After World War II, United States really came out on top. We were booming. So those are the baby boomers, and they're doing quite well economically. And a lot of them are retiring now. Actually, a lot of the baby boomers became social workers. So this is when they got older, this is when social work, the profession, started taking off, because the baby boomers, they were kind of early middle age by the time social work started developing. So we got a lot, the social work population really took off in the baby boomer, which is why we're at a shortage of social workers, because a lot of the boomers have retired at this point. But yeah, so it means a lot generationally. I mean, the millennial generation, economic situation wasn't quite as good as it was for baby boomers. So they looking at life totally different. I have to tell you, I really had the privilege of living with my grandma. I lived with my grandma and my grandma lived through the Great Depression. So it was really fascinating when I was when I was in y'all shoes, getting my master's degree in social work at University of Chicago. It was expensive, and I ended up living with my grandma. She lived a couple of blocks from campus, and it was so interesting living with her because she lived through the Great Depression, and so she did not believe in wasting anything. She didn't believe in wasting money, and so like it was weird because I would leave lights on, and I wouldn't eat everything. I would throw stuff in the trash. And she was like, hold on. It was like getting on her nerves, I could tell, because she was like, we don't waste anything. And grandma had money. My grandma had money. But she gave all her money to her grandchildren, hoping that we would save it and not spend it on crazy stuff. But she could never understand wasting money was something that she just didn't believe in. But I have to think about the fact that, this lady lived through the Great Depression. So that's age stratification perspective. She sees the world totally different because she grew up in a different era. Okay, moving along. What time is it? 2:15. Okay. let's see, where are we? Changes in late adulthood. There are biological changes that happen in late adulthood. Health changes, right? Arthritis, hearing impairments, heart condition. By the way, that's the number one leading cause of health-related illnesses among men is heart-related illnesses. Leading cause of death among men. You got to get your heart situation, high blood pressure and heart condition. That's killing more people than COVID. And your diabetes, diabetes, blood pressure, heart condition, those things you want to stay away from because 80%, yes, a stroke. That's it. 80% of people 65 and over have at least one chronic condition. So that's something to keep in mind. And that has an impact on your longevity. There's a gradual decline in bodily symptoms. Psychological, over time. Think about this. Time, energy, and money. Time, energy, and money. So it changes as we grow older, right? When we're older, later adulthood, you don't have that much time, do you? You're running out of time. You may not have that much energy, but you for sure probably have more money. A lot of older adults have more money than they did when they were younger. So time, energy, money, all of that kind of changes. Maybe in middle age years, you may have more energy, but you're looking at time differently and your money in terms of resources differently. I love this ego, integrity versus despair. This is Erikson talks about this. And I spend a lot of time working with older adults when it comes to ego integrity, because psychologically, when you're looking back on your life, do you have a sense of fulfillment and satisfaction with life in all that you've accomplished? And that's what the integrity means. I feel good about the decisions that I made. I am concerned about death and dying, but not so much because I feel like I've accomplished everything that there needed to be accomplished. And I feel like I've done just about everything. But not many people can look back on their life and have that sense of ego integrity. Instead, sometimes people will feel very, very sad, and depression is really high among the population of older adults where there's despair. And they feel that they have a high level of regret. They did not follow through with what they wanted to do. They wish they could go back in time and make some changes, change some of the decisions that they've made. And they're reflecting on your life and your achievement. And I think this has a lot to do with how older adults believe their outlook is going to be and how happy they are, looking at their coping mechanisms and keeping a deeper meaning of things. And we spend a lot of time, the chaplain and myself, we spend a lot of time talking with older adults who are at the end, kind of come to terms and to make amends with the people in situations that they need to make amends. Okay. So that's important. Psychologically, it can be very depressing for those individuals who are right there in despair. Regrets. Go for it. What you holding back for? Of course, mental health. Definitely, you need to avoid the substance abuse issue. You have all of these other ailments that are commonly diagnosed. Alzheimer's and dementia, if I'm not mistaken, every 65 seconds, someone's diagnosed with dementia and Alzheimer's. Every 65 seconds, somebody's diagnosed. Every 65 seconds. Those memory care facilities, they can't keep them open fast enough. Filling up with individuals who have these memory issues. Okay. Let's go move along. Social role transitions later in life. Yeah, so you're transitioning, you're retiring, you are stepping into grandparenthood. I love the whole thing about grandparents. There's a bunch of different types of grandparents. I'll just go over it real quick. There are some grandparents that are very formal grandparents. So they're interested in their grandchildren. And a lot of this, remember, the type of grandparent you end up becoming has a lot to do with your early life experiences, what you adhere to when you were growing up in terms of grandparents, what was modeled for you and what you felt you wanted to do. So a lot of it is modeled for you, but formal. Some grandparents are very formal. They don't want to become over involved in their children and grandchildren's lives. It's very formal. They're interested in what their grandchildren are doing, but it's formal. Another type of grandparent is the fun seeker. I don't know what kind of grandparent you guys want to have, or want to become, is the fun seeker grandparent. These are people who are very informal. They're very playful. They're very indulgent. My mom is the fun seeker one. She'd be feeding my kids candy before dinner. I'd be like, lady, where'd you come from? You was never like that with me. You always made sure I drank my milk and had a good, decent diet before I ate a bunch of junk. But as a grandparent, she's totally different. She is very much indulgent. Some grandparents are a surrogate parent. So for many different reasons, they are taking on the major childcare responsibilities to people who were, who they raised. Maybe they actually have custody of their grandchildren for whatever reason, the biological parents weren't able to take care of them. And usually it's the grandparent that says, I'll take care of the child or children. And so some people were raised by their grandparents as a surrogate parent. And this is mostly grandmothers. Grandmothers are usually the one taking care and taking on childcare responsibilities. Again, a lot of this is cultural. Wisdom, grandparents who are very wise, and a lot of them are authoritarian, and usually this is the grandfather. The grandfather is this wise old person, older authority, and knows better on things, and has a lot of resources and has a lot of skills to give to the grandchildren. And then there's some grandparents that are very distant, like they really don't get involved. Birthdays, holidays, very little contact. I don't know. Those are the different types of grandparents. So there's different sort of changes. There's a great heterogeneous population of people. The older you get, the more disalike people can be. So a lot of older adults who are fun seeking, who are healthy, they look at their life and look back at their life totally different than ones who are sick and have a lot of ailments. And a lot of that has a lot to do with the social role transitions and major life events such as widowhood. By the way, I have let me ask y'all a question. Who is more devastated in losing a spouse, men or women? Who's the most devastated? What do y'all think? In the chat, who's the most devastated group of people? So when women lose their husbands and husbands lose their wives, wives lose their husbands, husbands who lose their wives, which group is the most devastated of all the groups? What do y'all think? Journey, Emily, or Mary, who's the most devastated of the groups?
I want to say, I feel like it could be both, but I want to say more so women.
Women, okay.
More devastated.
Okay, interesting. Okay, so who else said? Richard said women. Kelly said women. And Dr. Vibe said men. Okay, who agrees? Who else? Journey and Emily. Who's more devastated?
Men are more devastated, I think.
Okay,
sure.
Emily says men. Journey says men. Anybody else in the chat? We get Miss Parker. Is Miss Parker still here? Yeah. So believe it or not, it is men. Men, believe it or not, way more devastated when they lose their spouse than women. They just suffer the most in terms of depression and despair and being upset. Men just don't know how to function without their wives. And women can function without their husbands. I know, I think a lot of this gets into, if I had to go back to my feminist theories. Yeah, because women do more. And so keeping that in mind, which group is more likely to remarry? Women or men? After you lose your loved ones, which group is more likely to remarry?
Men, I think.
Men, okay. Journey, which group is more likely to remarry? Dr. Vive says men are more likely to remarry. A Mary, who's more likely to remarry?
I don't know. I see that on both of the. I'm neutral.
You're neutral, okay.
I'd
Journey?
agree with the Mary. I'd be neutral too.
No, it's actually, let me put up here. Miss Parker is correct. Men tend to typically remarry a lot faster than women once they lose their spouse. Somebody got to make that sandwich. I'm going to leave it there because we got to move on. But yes, Miss Parker is right. Men are going to be sad that you're gone, but they will get over it. Okay. Good point here. We got comments here. My bad. When my grandfather died, thank you, Richard. My grandmother had to move in with my mom. Younger, definitely men suffer the most. Yeah. Men don't know how to, they don't know how to do. Thank you. Tice Jim 7. Most men in this case don't know how to be. Oh no, they don't know how to be on it. They don't know how to do it. Okay. Let's move on. Let's see how many more slides. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, 5 more slides, and we will move on. 5 more. Okay. Searching for personal meaning. Yeah. Do you know? This is what social workers do when you work with this population, and doing a life review with older adults. I love this whole thing with Ira Glass on NPR. I think it's Ira Glass, where they get older adults into this booth. I don't know what it's called. StoryCorps. Have y'all seen that? Where you bring your grandparent into the booth and you do like a story of their life. It's really beautiful. It's a life review. And usually when I was teaching this class in person, I would play snips of StoryCorps so that people can reflect on it. But yeah, understanding the aging process in order to help older adults as social workers understand the aging process, you can help them by going through a life review, helping them understand their life and the decisions that they make and coming to terms with it, saying it's okay. These things happened and it's okay. I failed in these ways, in many different ways, and it's okay. Because, and helping them helps to remember to have ego integrity. You want them to have integrity in their life and not have to walk around sad and despairing and all of those things. So just making sure that that they're okay with things and they can live the rest of their life in peace and comfort. This is so important. And for them to know that they can give back. You can tell stories. Storytelling. It really allows older adults and individuals to impose some sort of order in their life. When they tell a story, it's first of all, it helps with cognition because it helps them kind of reminisce about things, but also it helps them gain control over their life. And narrative theory is a wonderful technique that social workers use because it helps them to have this integrity and they can age gracefully with wisdom. So as a social worker, you really focus on what did you learn from that? You're so wise now because you have these experiences. This is the empathetic listening part. Reframing, lots of reframing. Yes, well, could it be that your mom really loved you? Could it be that that's reframing? You're seeing it negative or in this way. Let's do some reframing. Reframing these stories so that they can see, oh, I overcame a lot. I have this wisdom and I'm peaceful inside. And so you want to be able to do that as a social worker when you're working with this population, because sometimes, people need to engage in process to help them just think about these past experiences and come to grips with them, the reality of some of these experiences. So that's the thing with social workers. Let's move on. Reminiscence theory. This is again another pretty much a technique of having older adults tell stories. I don't know why I get into storytelling too sometimes, because sometimes I'll be like, a song will come on or a movie will come on or a situation would happen. And I'll be like, oh, let me tell you, I remember when this happened. So reminiscence is kind of like you start to feel nostalgic. The other day, there was somebody in the office playing like songs from the 80s. And I was like, wow, I'm in the second grade right now. And let me tell you what I'm doing right now. I could go right back to the moment that song started playing. And I was like, this reminds me of that Christmas when such and such. And I really start to feel nostalgic because there were certain parts of my youth that I really enjoyed. So this remembering allows a lot of older adults to recapture some of the memorable events in their life story. A lot of times it's linked to positive things that older adults engaged in, and it helps to serve the function of adjusting in later life and especially living healthy. So I do think but it does assist in achieving ego integrity. But there was a study I was reading when I was preparing for today. I read this story where they did groups of people and they gave older adults who had depression. One group they gave psychotherapy to. So they had 3 groups of older adults. One group, they provided psychotherapy to them to deal with their depression. The second group, they just gave them medication, like some SSRI or something like that, to deal with their depression. And the third group gave them reminiscence, or had the narrative therapy. And would you believe that narrative therapy, I wrote it down. Let me read it from my paper. Older adults who suffered from depression, just was using reminiscence therapy was just as effective as drug treatment and psychotherapy in alleviating depressive symptoms. Reminiscence therapy, narrative therapy was just as good as taking medication. So I think it's cheaper to pay a social worker to work with depressed older adults than it is in giving them drugs. I'm just saying. Right. So helping them, and of course, spiritual and religious activities helps as well. Okay, let's move on. Okay, Fisher. Hey, Fisher talks about spirituality. So older adults, I guess, because more of their life is behind them than in front of them, you need to start coming to terms with the fact that you're not going to be around anymore. And that is a major task of this group. You have to face your own immortality. And in doing that, search for meaning and purpose in your life. And these are the ways you do it in the spiritual sense. Embrace the moment. This is mindfulness. living in the moment. Live every day, because you really don't know. It could be your last, literally your last. You know, the older you get, you never know. So you really start to come to terms with the richness in life, and you appreciate everyday life. So that's one part in which spirituality, finding meaning in past memories. We talked about that. Constructing your life, of course, confronting your own limitations. Yeah, it's like, I think confronting areas in which you're limited in terms of daily living skills for many people, it's just an opportunity to grow and adapt. You really need to see it in that way. Say, yes, but what would all these nurses do if they didn't have to care for you every day? They wouldn't have a job, you know? So it's like trying to, of course, reframe a lot of this stuff so that people can get used to the fact that they're getting older. Seeking seeking reconciliation and forgiveness. Let me just say, this is really work, because this is the inner healing that really needs to happen in terms of spirituality and progressing this forward, because there's been wounds and people hold grudges. And it's important in this last moments of your life to repair relationships and to seek forgiveness and to offer forgiveness and to receive forgiveness, all because you want to be able to get peace in your life. So reconciliation with yourself and with others is so important in this life, in this time. Reaching out through prayer services. I like this part because I think older adults can contribute a lot to church and to volunteer in a bunch of different ways. I love when older adults mentor people. They don't even care. They just mentoring everybody. And there's an interconnection there with some of the activities that they are engaged in. Moving along. Tasks become important with aging. Of course, integrity. We talked about that. Coming to terms with the life they have lived. We must live the life we're living, and we must love the life we got. That's from the musical Chicago. You have to love the life you're living and live the life you love, right? So you have to come to terms with that. Humanistic concern. I really love this. Like, okay, I'm just going to say my favorite president is Jimmy Carter. President Carter. He was the president when I was born. So I love him anyway. But I love what he's doing now. He's in hospice now, so he doesn't do as much as he used to. But I love the fact that in his older life, he dedicated his life to like helping children, and he and his wife gave back and all. And she just died recently. Bless her heart. Rest in peace, Miss Carter. She was wonderful. Both of them did such a wonderful job in giving back. Y'all look it up. Google search what Jimmy Carter and his wife have done in terms of their foundations and just giving back and creating a legacy. They did wonderful. And he did just put money. He spent time as an old man with cancer, just barely able to shuffle along. He was still giving back in a way that was just really altruistic. So I love that about him. Also, changing relationships with other, deeper meaning in relationships. Definitely coming. Mortality. You have to acknowledge that death is coming. Everybody needs to accept this and make the most of every moment. Connecting with something higher than yourself will help you do it. Yes, as we advance in age, it's undeniable that various forms of loss is going to happen. And some we can prevent and some we can't. Some is more prevalent, some are more impactful. But, you know, a lot of it centers on relationships. You know, sometimes you do lose your spouse, your partners, your friends. My mom, she's the only sibling left. It was 5 of them, and she's the only one standing. A lot of her friends, she's in her 80s, and a lot of her friends are passed on. They're dead. And she's funny because she's like, I got up and I did yoga today. I said, yeah, because a lot of she went by herself. She does yoga 3 days a week. She walks 2 days a week, and she's trying to be active, but a lot of her friends are gone. A lot of her family members and everybody's gone. So she has to deal with these sense of loss. Definitely retiring. You need to be retiring. Your health, you lose certain parts of your health. Just all of these things that you just can't control, right? And older adults want to be independent. They want their driver's license. they want to live in their own home. They want to make all of the decisions in their life that they need to make. And you got to look for ways to mitigate some of these things, but it is going to happen. You're not going to be able to do this. So definitely a lot of resources for meeting all of the needs of older adults. All of these resources: old age, survivors insurance, Social Security, home health care services, hospice, senior housing, adult homes. There's all sorts of services, Meals on Wheels. A lot of the patients that we see, they do get Meals on Wheels. Some of them are a lot of veterans. I talk about a lot of veterans who get a lot of services from the government, and, for seniors who served in our military. These are all of the resources that social workers need to know about. Medicare Part A and B. I think B is hospitals or something. Part A is the insurance part. So, we just have to be familiar with meeting the needs of older adults. And I don't know, I think that might be it. I made it through. I got through, and we have some time still. So anyway, I'm going to shut down YouTube. So goodbye, everybody on YouTube. Thank you for joining. Goodbye. And goodbye to everyone. I'm going to come off of here, and then we'll end the rest of the class. Okay, let me see. Ending stream now. Okay.